So, hello and welcome to the breathing space meditation for the Azure Living Mindfulness Meditation Community, Mindfulness Community. Today we are Sunday, the whatever it is, the 8th of June, and we're just beginning our session. So, as I'm doing this introduction, I'm noticing there's still people arriving into our Zoom. So, we have this Zoom every Sunday. I'm in France, so it's 7 o'clock Central European time, which is 1 hour ahead of UK time. And we meet together on a Sunday evening just for an hour and a half of mindfulness practice. And for the last few weeks, we've been working through some themes on this book from Jon Kabat-Zinn, Falling Awake. And this week, we're going to practice around the chapter he calls airscape. So that's the theme. And I'm going to guide you through some grounding and getting into kind of a mindful awareness. And then a little practice called Four Hands. To just play with the concept of our relationship with the world around us, and also how the world around us connects with our own internal awareness and self. And then intermingled with that, a little bit of reading from the chapter that Jon Kabat-Zinn wrote called Airscape. Okay, but maybe a play on words. But we could also think of this as air space, and our place within that space, how we relate to the space of the air around us, and how we are received by that space. So that's enough of an introduction, I think. Let's get into our practice. So as we come into practice, the invitation is, as always, to just find a posture that invites a sense of falling awake. Yeah, often we come into meditation and I often hear people go, "Oh, it was so relaxing, fell asleep." And it does happen when we relax. If we have any kind of residual tiredness in the body, it will make us fall asleep. But the objective here more is to try and fall awake, to create a space where we become mindful, aware, and connected to the present moment experience. So, a posture perhaps that is stable. So, you have a sense that this is effortless in maintaining your posture, but also a sense that there's a dignity to it, a certain energy of presence. And yeah, just welcome to those of you who are joining. We're just getting ourselves into posture at the moment, a posture that invites a sense of awareness, alertness, and presence. But at the same time, if you're tuning into yourself right now and you're feeling, that you are particularly weary, why not lie down? Yeah, lie down on a bed or a cushion, a mat, and find a posture that allows you to feel connected and grounded to the earth. Maybe take some time, whether sitting or lying, to arrange any cushions or whatever else you need just to be comfortable and to support your practice. And then inviting attention inward and perhaps becoming aware of this transition between doing and planning and problem solving and striving and searching. All the things that we do when we're in problem solving mode and action mode. And just wondering if it's for the next hour we can just put that to one side. Right, we're not going to throw it away. It's just lying on the floor beside us, and we can pick it up again when we finish our practice. But would it be possible just for this time of practice that we recognize that, you know, those strivings and cravings never go away, but we might change our relationship with them while we practice. We might bring a present moment experience to the foreground as the focus of our attention, and let that constant storytelling and narrative and questioning and seeking, can we let that just drop to the background while we practice? So we can drop into the present moment through perhaps awareness of connection to surface, perhaps the feet in contact with floor, the body in the chair, on the bed, all those points of contact. Inviting curiosity, noticing maybe differences in how the weight is distributed across these different points of contact. Perhaps awareness of whether the surface is warm or cold. Maybe hard or soft. And if necessary, you're drawing on that connection with the ground and getting a sense maybe of roots going down into the earth, bringing you up an energy of presence and grounded, centered stillness somewhere at the heart of your practice. Remembering this is an invitation. Sometimes the body and the mind respond with restlessness or agitation, and the busy mind continues to drive like a spaghetti junction through this moment and that moment. And if that's happening, that's what we're present with. The invitation is to kind of like build the space of awareness around that energy and invite it into your practice. Invite it to sit down with you and become part of the meditation that we're sitting through today. Just see what happens as that energy follows the guidance and the practice too. So we're going to begin with a practice called four hands. So you can keep your eyes open or closed if you want, but taking your hands, just touch one hand with the other. And as you move one hand over the surface of the other, the hand that is exploring is the hand that is aware. So it's aware of the contours of the palm, aware of joints of fingers, and just discerning all the different textures and temperatures, forming a touchscape, awareness of the hand that is being touched. If there's any thinking, like, what are we doing this for? Or am I doing this right? Can we invite that thinking just to go to the background? Really bring our focus of attention simply on the sensations that are felt by the fingers and the skin of the hand that is exploring. It's a place without words, or a place beneath words. Maybe noticing different textures of skin on front and back of hand. Maybe discerning the solidity of bone under flesh. Maybe noticing the difference between the feel of a fingernail and the pad of a fingertip. The different sizes of fingers. The joints inside and the fleshy parts of the palm of the hand. So this is our first hand, the hand that is touching, and the awareness that comes into this hand through the nerve endings that feel all those different contours of the hand that is being touched. The second hand is the hand that is being touched, the hand that is receiving the touch. So let's see if we can shift our focus now to feeling the received touch of a fingertip. So as we touch the palm, what does it feel like in the palm of the hand that is being touched? To receive that sense of that light, exploring and moving touch. Can we discern if it's being touched just with one finger or two or three? And as that hand that's exploring moves around, can we feel the touch in the finger, in the fingertip? Can the bones sense when they are being touched? Can the muscles perceive the pressure that might change with the movement? Is a fingertip aware of being touched? So this is the second hand. The first hand is the hand that is touching, and the second, the hand that is being touched. Let's now take both our hands, see if we can hold them open to the air. The third hand is awareness of the air around your hand. So as you hold your hands in the air or in front of you, can we feel any awareness of the air temperature, maybe humidity, maybe even a breeze or a breath of air? What does it feel like on the skin of the hands? And then if we just move our hands, just allow them to begin to move, being aware that these hands exist in a space, this air space, this airscape, the sense that they're being received and held by the air, which is this atmosphere of the planet that surrounds us all. This is your practice today, to be in the physical sensations and the awareness of the space in which we exist, and that interface between hand and body and air. As we move our hands, maybe even aware of the movement of muscles and joints and how they allow the hands to move through this space all around us. Sense of the whole body is in a space that we can define simply by moving our arms. And if we encounter an object, we know we've come to the limit of that space. And if we can extend our hands, we know the vastness of this space above us, below us, this three-dimensional space we're in. It becomes almost like Tai Chi or Qigong sense of body moving in space in a mindful and present way. I invite you to continue this practice while I read you the beginning of this extract today from the chapter Airscape, and allow my words just to drop in to your practice as you move your hands through the air. Jon Kabat-Zinn writes, imagine yourself underwater, still fully able to breathe. Now try moving. Move just one arm and hand, slowly at first. Can you feel how the water streams around the arm, between the fingers, across the back of the hand, and all around? As I do it now, I feel a fluidity in the movement itself, as if my arm and hand suddenly have a new life to them. They seem drawn to go on their own wherever they can, to flow and undulate anywhere and everywhere, to experiment spontaneously with greater freedom of motion. These slow, inherently elegant movements seem to become more fluid merely by imagining that, thereby sensing that they are in a fluid. So with that visualization, you imagine you're in the water and the air is fluid water. And as you move your hands, there's this sense that you're actually moving through a medium. This is not empty space. And as you move, you're stirring currents in the fluidity of the air that is touching you, and the air that is being touched and moved and stirred, and the movement within you that is doing that moving and stirring. An interaction that's very alive and dynamic. Jon Kabat-Zinn continues, if you are doing this now, can you feel how graceful your moving has already become, and how effortless? Linger in this feeling as long as you like while continuing to move. And if you like, gradually let the rest of your body join in. Let yourself become a strand of kelp waving rhythmically in a bed of waving kelp in the ocean near where the sea meets the land. If you like, you might try standing up. And if you're sitting, let your whole body, your arms, your legs, your torso, your head, move however it likes, feeling the flowing currents around the body as it's drawn into responding into whatever ways it chooses to the fluid within which it is immersed. So as you allow the movement to come into body, what happens as you feel that in your body? Sensations of muscles, joints, Not just your hands that exist in this space, your whole body existing in this airscape. Can you discern the difference between temperature within body and temperature of air around body? As we move, can we feel the currents of air and how they might be felt even through a shirt, a blouse, a t-shirt? And if there are parts of you that are in touch with a mattress, a cushion, can we feel the difference in those grounded places, a bit like the root of the kelp at the bottom of the sea? And then these other parts that can move through and within the fluidity of the air. So continuing with that, let's see what happens as we read the next little extract. Actually, we do live at the bottom of an ocean of air. And letting go of the water image, you might play with seeing if you can actually feel this ocean of air with your skin as you move your arms and hands as slowly as before. Feeling the streaming of the air through and around your fingers and hands, bathing in the sensations you are experiencing, whatever they are. So whatever is here, can we just allow it to be? Make this an exploration of what happens when we exist simply in the movement of the moment. Thoughts can come up. We just allow them to go with the flow. Come back to feeling the movement in the body. The air touching the skin touching the air. The space that you're in, whatever is felt, creaky joints or sore muscles, cool air, warm air. Can we just be with what is here? Curious. Move your hands faster or slower. Play, have fun. Just let go of any belief that a meditation has to be one way or another. Allow this just to be an exploration, a game of what happens if I just go with the flow, be with the movement, and feel my relationship with the air and the space around and through and within the movement of the body. And then Jon Kabat-Zinn says, come to stillness. Bring that movement to stillness. He says, allow yourself to come to stillness and sense the air with your whole body. Rather than searching for a particular feeling, let it emerge on its own, as if you were listening with your skin for the air to speak. You do not have to reach out or try to do or feel anything. After all, the air is already all around you and inside you and touching you. After the movement, can we sense the stillness in the body? And yet within that stillness, there is still movement, movement of breathing, movement of body around the breath. Movement of air across the skin, maybe the arms, the face. Movement of air across clothing, perhaps changing temperature of skin on legs or back or belly. We just sit in stillness, allow that air to come to us. And in that, we might notice a sense of craving or seeking or questioning. Again, it's interesting how when we just sit in practice, the mind is always dropping into old habits of thought. Once recognized, we can just say, oh, there's thinking. Well done for noticing that question, that striving, that am I feeling anything? Is this right? This is weird, or whatever you're thinking. Just come back to, ah, what happens if we just sit and open awareness to when the air is ready to speak to you. Just listen and wait. Can we discern that interface between the body that's breathing and the air that enters and leaves the body with each in-breath, each out-breath? Can we discern the heart that beats, pumping that air, that oxygen all around the body into every cell, every organ, every muscle, every bone? Can we perceive the very subtlest of breaths of air across the skin? The space that we're in that breathes around us with every current of air that flows around us. If we notice a question, a sense of irritation or boredom or even comfort and pleasure, just label that. Oh, there's a reaction to what's happening, an emotional response, a thought, a feeling. Well done for noticing this living body that is constantly alive in response to experience. Well done for being in stillness and just observing that flow of body interacting with awareness of air. Maybe noticing if that breath of air is felt on face or arms or neck or somewhere else. Or maybe the air is speaking to you today of humidity. Does the air have a particular weight, a heaviness, a clarity? So continue being in this body that touches the air, the body that is being touched by the air. A sense of your body that feels the air around it, but also this air that is receiving and making space for the body within it. And allow the next part of this chapter just to drop in as words into your practice. Later in the chapter, Jon Kabat-Zinn says, without trying, sensing how you are already embedded in this fluid, how the ocean of air caresses your skin, envelops you, and embraces you. Even when it's hardly moving in a room, even when it is utterly still. Feel how you are mysteriously drawn to draw it into your body over and over again through your nose or your mouth, and how this happens without you trying, without any forcing, without any volition. Feel how it's received by the baskets that are your lungs, and reflect for a moment on how the oxygen molecules, unimaginably tiny, are magically snared out of the air that has diffused from the alveoli in your lungs into the bloodstream by the correspondingly enormous, but still unimaginably tiny, hemoglobin molecules packed into the now, in the binding with the oxygen, bright red blood cells that do only the job of transporting that air essence with every contraction of the left ventricle of your heart to all the trillions of cells that make up the infinitely complex universe of your body. Such a reflection might give occasion to pause for a moment, allowing you to metaphorically catch your breath and consciously situate yourself in the airscape. So again, just a pause to reconnect in whatever's happening with you as body is aware of air and space and flow. And breath. Be aware that air also carries sound. Perhaps the air around you is bringing the sounds of the world around you. And there's an awareness of receiving this through the air, as well as the flow of just air molecules on the skin or through the clothing. Perhaps also we notice how the body responds to the air around us. If the air is particularly warm, perhaps the body perspires or flushes. Perhaps the breathing changes in depth or rapidity. Maybe even the heart pumps blood more quickly, more slowly. Always aware of the air that we live in. And if there's a cool evening breeze, how does that feel on the skin of a body that may have been coming to the end of a very hot day? How does the body react to that airscape around you? Jon Kabat-Zinn continues later on in the chapter, and he says, when I relate to the air with a degree of affection, intimacy, and constancy, that is, with increasing mindfulness, it is hard not to notice that the airscape is continually in flux. One moment it is moving, the next moment it is still. It beckons me, awakens me, keeps me on my toes when I feel it in this way. Now it is warm. I look and feel again, and it is cool. Its various personas are met in different hours, in different seasons. The sweet back-to-school coolness, full of memories, the bracing chill of winter, more memories. The occasional warm day, with a feeling all of its own for not being summer, but pretending, while snow and ice are all around, melting and giving the air its own unique signature of feels and smells. So, for the last 5 minutes or so of our practice, just being in what we would call choiceless awareness, keeping our focus on air and the way the body is aware of the air around it, aware of our place here within the air, and our interface, our reaction, our relationship. And if we notice the rise of emotions, thoughts, and memories, being aware that it's natural that whatever we experience, the body itself will react by sweating or being aware of heat or cool or movement of air. But the mind and the emotions will also switch on and maybe go to memory or emotion or story. And if we can stay in the body, in the movement of the air, and just watch these emotions rise, feel them as sensations in the body. Maybe notice thoughts arise as if we were watching images on a cinema screen. Just curious to observe before we return our attention once more back into body into airscape. When Jon Kabat-Zinn talks about being in this connection which is intimate, affectionate, mindful, and present. And through this, he becomes aware of the constant flux of the flow of air, sometimes warm, sometimes cold. From one minute to the next, there's constant change. And to just be in that flow of change and surf that with our awareness. And what if we could do the same to the flow of life's experiences? Because, like every living being which exists on land or in the sea or rivers, we're all connected to this air. Even the fish of the sea and the rivers are breathing the oxygen that is dissolved in the water. Even the plants They breathe slightly differently, but they certainly are taking in carbon dioxide and then taking in oxygen as well, depending on hours of daylight or darkness. And plants also give us oxygen, and then we breathe this in. So all of us as living beings are connected through the stillness of a summer's day or the tempestuous of a storm and the winds that go with that, hurricane or tornado or gentle summer breeze. So what would it be like to turn that affectionate and intimate and compassionate attention to life in the way that we have been turning our attention to the changes in temperature of the air on our skin? Notice that life itself is constantly in flux. Mindfulness gives us this beautiful way of just observing that ever-changing life experience in a way that is curious and accepting and compassionate. So, for the last 2 minutes of our practice, really just inviting, breathing in some warmth, some care, some tenderness to that recognition that life, just like the air, is sometimes stormy or cold or dangerous and sometimes warm and soft and caressing and pleasant. What's the internal weatherscape like with you today? And we know that this practice never really ends, that, mindfulness is what we practice for this hour on a Sunday, but it's also a way of being, that we can drop into this mindful way of being at any time during the day as we go through the week ahead. And at any time, you can invite your awareness into skin or body and be aware that you are in this space, this airscape. Notice the relationship that's happening between the internal body and the external world through the interface of skin, temperature, air current, humidity, temperature, heartbeat, breathing, thought, emotion. We can drop into this mindful awareness of what is alive in us and around us at any time. live our life with more presence, more awareness. And when we find we're being pulled away into thinking, planning, ruminating, worrying, just one little breath or one little breath of air is enough to bring us back to just this moment, this breath, this flow of air. So well done for your practice and well done for being here today, for turning up and giving yourself this space in your week. And give yourself a little pat on the back in recognition of the care and the love and the attention that you're giving yourself in this practice. And then for those of us who are here on Zoom, might be an opportunity now to come back and just have a little chat about today's practice. If you're watching on Zoom, on YouTube, on the recording, always a good opportunity now to maybe do a little bit of journaling around your experience in today's practice. And go well through the week. And if you're tuning in regularly to my YouTube channel, I look forward to I see your views. I see who's watching I don't see who, but I know people are watching my videos, and that's nice to know that you're following the practice and enjoying it. And keep tuning in for more. For those of us who are here, I will now stop the recording so we can have a little chat.